Welcome and good morning, everybody. I'm going to call the March 21st, 2023 Delta County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we get started here, I had a quote that I'd like to bring forward from President Theodore Roosevelt. Life brings sorrows and joys alike. It is what a man does with them, not what they do to him, that is a true test of his mettle. I enjoy those kind of quotes. It brings some perspective in for me. Do we have any additions to the agenda? Okay. I would like to move agenda item 11 to agenda item 1. Is that okay with you guys? Yep. We'll do so. And then we'll approve the agenda as submitted then. Before we get started with constituent time, I would like to remind everybody that personal attacks are not allowed. That's uncalled for. We are better people than that. And I would ask that you guys, if you want to speak today, speak to the facts. We want to hear from you, but we won't take the personal attacks, neither on members of the audience, citizens here, county commissioners, Carl Holm or others, okay? Seeing we have probably 10 or a dozen people would like to speak. We're going to ask you to come forward, make sure that microphone is on with the red light. You'll have 3 minutes. Lindsay will help us there. Introduce yourself, where you're from, and if you're representing an organization, and speak to the commissioners, not to the audience.
Remember, I might make a suggestion if that's okay. So if members that are or citizens that are present are intending on speaking on item 11, which is the board's consideration removal of the planning commissioner Victoria Turner, it might make sense to go ahead and open that as a public hearing. And so I'm wondering if the chair would think it reasonable to go ahead and see if there's constituents that want to speak to something else to move beyond the constituent time. It's typically at the beginning of a meeting, and then go ahead and open that item so that it's all kind of.
Let's do that. Let's have those who wish to speak on items not related to the planning commission. Is anybody in the room would like to speak to anything not related to the planning commission this morning? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move forward. Remember, profanity, personal attacks won't be tolerated. So we're going to first call up Lori Mitchell.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Lori Mitchell from Peonia, and I'm speaking today about two things: the 2021 LUC Red Line and the Planning Commission. 2021 LUC, I have attended each working session since the public hearing. In comparing my slides and notes with scrapping 2022, the LUC seems to be resurrection of that very version. There are so many items in all versions of the LUC that it seems to be attempting to fix problems that don't exist. It doesn't match the master plan, which I understood was the point. You say you can't repeal 2021, then let's leave it and start over with community assistance. You cannot build a quality home without a strong foundation, and I think we all agree that 2021 is not stable. Next, the March 8th Planning Commission meeting. God bless Victoria Turner. As a new Planning Commission board member, she read her bylaws and Colorado law to educate herself and us on the important position she volunteered for. Tom Kay said Victoria is practicing law, which is illegal. Delta County bylaws 2019, section 6, 612 rules of order, Robert's rules of order shall govern the commission in all parliamentary procedures unless otherwise specified in these bylaws. Robert's rule of order states a quasi judicial body is a non-judicial body which can interpret law, which has been given the powers and procedures resembling those of a court of law or judge, and which is obligated to objectively determine facts and draw conclusions from them as to provide the basis of an official action. There were two things Victoria brought up. One, the planning commissioner board members must reside in unincorporated Delta County. Two, Tom Kay is ineligible to hold chairman position, yet they voted him in again. Those two items, if they are fact, make any and all decisions the PC vote on null and void. The county attorney weighed in, quoting laws from 2018, saying that they just had to be in the county, which they are. Do the 2019 county bylaws supersede that?
Go forward.
Oh, section 5, regular, this is 2019, section 5, 5.1, planning commission composition. The commission will be comprised of 9 regular members who reside in unincorporated areas of Delta County, 3 from each board district. 5.2, the board may appoint up to 3 associate members who reside in unincorporated areas of Delta County, 1 from each board district in accordance with CRS 30-28-103-3. My understanding is that there are 3 planning commissioners living outside of unincorporated Delta County or otherwise in municipal areas. Victoria should not be removed from being committed to following and questioning the law. Who assigned these 3 members that do not reside in unincorporated Delta County and who to become a PC member? Some of these same members were on the PC when the 2021 land use code was being created. If so, would that make this the LUC null and void? Tom Kay volunteered to step down from his chair position just for that meeting. Why just for one meeting? In section 2019 bylaws 8.5 terms of office, no elected officer shall serve in that position for more than 2 consecutive years, but may be elected to serve again after 1-year hiatus. As a chairman, isn't it their responsibility to lead the PC, to know, abide, and educate the PC? Carl Holm recommended that the chair defer the item and ask for executive session to get attorney's advice. Why? Unlike the LUC, the bylaws seem really clear and easy to understand. Carl Holm also stated that the Planning Commission is not obligated to have bylaws, that the PC can vote to get rid of them altogether. If they get rid of their bylaws, then wouldn't they fall into the state statutes? If so, then CO Colorado 30-28-104 states that the County Planning Commission shall elect a chairman from its members whose terms shall be for 1 year. Period. If the director of the Planning Commission doesn't think the PC should have to have bylaws, then why should we have to have an LUC that is created by the Planning Commission who are not following their own laws? Okay, thank you.
No, it's freedom of speech.
No.
It's freedom of
Thank you,
speech.
Ms. Lord.
Thank
Next,
you.
we have Scott Mitchell.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Scott Mitchell from Paonia. Thank you for your time and the work you do. I've watched and read things of what's been going on recently regarding LUCs, PCs, CRSs, and all kinds of more acronyms, and frankly, it's getting more curious as I go. I have concerns about the most recent redline version, of which I'll provide a few today, and a complete list after the meeting via email. Additionally, I have concerns about agenda item 11, which is moved to 1 now. Further, a statement has been made by at least 2 of you that drones are not being used for code enforcement, yet the county's own standard operating procedures outlines using drones for code violation enforcement. Lastly, I would like to raise the issue with Housing Strategy 2023 RFQ 03. First, Chapter 1, Section 6, Section C, Section 2, Section 8. 1 Board of Adjustment member from the PC. I think that seems like a recipe for a conflict of interest. The Board of Adjustment person or a PC member taking a position in the Board of Adjustments. That's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know much, but it just doesn't seem like it's an integrous thing, okay? 16D2A, PC members should be residents of unincorporated Delta County. In that section I just quoted, it does say they must be a member of the county. Well, unincorporated Delta County is in the county. And because what public benefit does it serve to have individuals from a municipality to making rules and laws about what we do in unincorporated Delta County? I cannot go to the city of Delta and sit on their council because I live in unincorporated Delta County. Why can they do the opposite? That doesn't make any sense to me. Again, I don't know much. Just common sense here, right? 6D2C, removal of PC member. Thank you, Mr. Kuntz and County Attorney, for potentially turning this work session, or I don't know what the definition of this is, but under my understanding, you can only remove a PC member through a public hearing. That's my understanding, and that's in 6D2C. 1CD3B, chairs hold term for 1 year. Why is the current chairperson held that position for over 2 years? In the February 8th Planning Commission meeting, and I believe it's 1 hour, 43 minutes and some change, the county administrator chimes in about this fact and then also has an opinion from the county attorney confirming non-compliance by repeating the language of the bylaws. To which our planning director suggested the chair ask for an executive session. A motion was started and a second did that, and there was a second. And I'm curious, was an executive session ever called? Or did it ever occur? If so, where was the adherence to the Colorado Open Meetings Law requiring a public hearing for executive session? Okay, 1A.
Mr. Mitchell, I'm going to ask you to summarize here.
I'm getting right there, sorry,
Appreciate you.
thank you. The master plan identified the need to create a simple, clear, fair, and predictable set of regulations. That was stricken in the red line. 1A. It was stricken. Why was it stricken? Doesn't need to be stricken. The new red line version seems to be 250 pages again. Why? Drone use. I'd like somebody to address drone use as a standard operating procedure that says it is in code enforcement. You, sir, on the phone conversation with me, you, Mr. Kuntz, told me it's only for gravel pits. Okay, I'd like some clarification on that. And why are we paying $40,000 for 2023 RFQ 03 to get the opinion of an outside entity about what we can do for our county-owned property to initiate low and middle income housing? $40,000 we're spending on an outside entity. Wouldn't that be a staff consideration? The staff knows our county. They know what we have for inventory.
Can you summarize?
That's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate you being here.
By the way, when Lindsay's phone's going off, she's not receiving the phone call. That's the end of the 3 minutes. So just so everybody's aware.
Larry Hudno. Good morning, Mr. Hudno.
My name is Larry Hudno. I reside in unincorporated Delta County. Here to address the LEPC Planning Committee on some rules. Lived in the city, been on various communities. We had rules that we could do things. We had to reside in the city or the county. If you moved out from the city to the county, you always had to leave the position because you're no longer qualified. And that's about it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you. Robert Baxley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
At the meeting on February 28th.
What's your address?
Oh, I'm sorry. I live in unincorporated Delta County outside of Hotchkiss.
Thank you.
And in that meeting on the 28th of February. And again today, we talked about no personal attacks. This issue with Victoria Turner is clearly that. It's a personal attack. And you seem, from the perspective of me, a humble pig farmer from Hotchkiss, to be selectively defending those who seem to be in line with the agenda of the 2021 Land Use Code and the 2022 revisions, and feeling completely free to attack Victoria, who honestly is the only person in that board, from what I've observed, who seems to be in line with the opinion and the feeling of your constituents as a whole. It's kind of horrifying. It's tyrannical. And, you know, I rushed through my chores. I get down here this morning just to look you guys in the eye and ask you to please turn from this course. Think about the people that live here. Let's do something that helps us and works for us. The only legitimate use for government is to defend the rights of the people. This government appears to be in complete contravention to that. And I don't want to see things continue down this road. I want to see a code that serves the rights of the people, protects the rights of the people, and does not involve this sort of politics that we're seeing right here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Steve Schrock.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Steve Schrock. I reside on 1740 Road Delta. I'm here to talk about Victoria Turner and the Planning Commission meeting on March 8th. I'm on the Planning Commission. I was in that meeting. And I guess I'd like to preface things by saying I have no ill will whatsoever against Victoria. I don't know her. I've been in 3 meetings with her. So there's nothing personal in my comments. But her behavior at that meeting was outlandish. One of the most irresponsible public official actions I've ever seen in 40 years of in and out of public life. And I say that because we were in a public hearing that night on a PROC application for a limited use permit. That was a quasi judicial event. We are bound in those events by behavior, statutes, all kinds of things, including things like ex parte communication. But Victoria would have no understanding or participation or agreeing to the fact that we were in a public hearing and brought up after the public hearing started the issue of our bylaws, Tom K, etc. Many people, including, and by the way, I'm not speaking for other planning commission members, I'm only speaking for myself today. But many of the planning commission members that night tried to bring her back to the subject at hand. The county administrator in the room felt the same way, tried to bring her back and direct her back to really the intent of that meeting at that point. We referenced the fact that there was another part of the agenda that was open for discussion about our bylaws and chairmanship, terms of office, etc. But she kept and continued to talk and disrupt the meeting. I mean, disrupt massively the meeting to the extent where the meeting had to be closed down. During that period of closure, the applicant came to the front of the table and talked to the chairman and talked to Carl Holm and others about whether or not he could just skip the meeting and come directly to the county commissioners, not having not having really wanting to do anything with this anymore. I mean, and the instructional part of that is, in that kind of a legal public hearing, the legality of what we did in giving him a fairer hearing, and the neighbors and the people that he brought as his witnesses in that meeting was very important. So the biggest threat legally to that meeting was not the issue of Tom King and the bylaws, it was to the conduct of that meeting as a public hearing. Ultimately, somehow this all got settled down when Tom King decided that he could step aside from that meeting. But it was a terribly disruptive event. Victoria's actions were completely unprofessional.
Sum it up, sir.
This is our meeting.
You know what? It's gotta be the same
No.
for everybody.
Completely unprofessional and uncalled for, insofar as she was told many different times that that subject would be taken up later on. So in effect, this became a political event, not a good government event. We also know that about Victoria by going to the website of the advocates and seeing her name up there as a group expert. I did this after the meeting. I was just curious.
I do need you to sum up here pretty quick.
Thank you.
She was there as a group expert in the website that's dedicated to the overthrow or doing away with the land use code. So both of those facts, I think, show that she's pretty much a political operative rather than a good government operative. And I think that's important in your considerations. I don't care how you vote. And I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm trying to give you some facts associated with the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Victoria Turner.
You want to let her wait until the.
Ms. Turner, you have the opportunity to wait till the end or address us now, as you wish.
No, thank you. Good morning, nice to meet you. I haven't been able to speak to you guys personally until today, and that's unfortunate. Okay. There are two state statutes regarding the definition and qualifications of misconduct. I think we can all agree that the first is inapplicable due to the fact that it must have been done for financial gain. The second is State Statute 188405. A public servant commits second-degree official misconduct if he knowingly, arbitrarily, and capriciously refrains from performing an act of duty imposed on him by law, or refrains from any statute or lawfully adopted rule or regulation relating to his office. My question, if I were allowed to get answers, would be what was my official misconduct and non-performance of duty? The written charges against me are not only a personal attack on my character, but an attempt to twist my actions to conform with these charges. It states that when I abstained from voting on March 8th, I was guilty of non-performance of duty. However, it fails to mention that the truth is I stated on the record that I had a conflict of interest, and so therefore voting on that matter would have been illegal. This feels like intimidation and defamation of my character. Continuing with charges today will break the Whistleblower Protection Act, as all I did was simply voice concerns of illegalities in an ethical attempt to uphold the law. And this was only done after I reached out multiple times to Don Supis on multiple occasions to help me resolve this situation before bringing it to the Planning Commission. These charges would violate the rule of law in this country, which states that laws must be evenly enforced among all people. This is especially relevant since there is publicly available footage of the March 8th meeting, and in it, all of your Planning Commission members willingly commit misconduct. Yet I am the only one receiving written charges against me for calling them out on it. I will also point out that in Chapter 1, Section 6D 2C of your 2021 Land Use Code, it states, any member of the Planning Commission may be removed for cause, which is defined as misconduct, non-performance, or ineligibility by the Board of County Commissioners. This must be done upon written charges and after a public hearing. Therefore, the written charges against me must be posted to the public in a public hearing notice in order to comply with not only federal laws, but the laws that you all wrote and voted in. So removing me for misconduct today and non-performance of duty would continue the list of actions taken unlawfully that got us to this point. I ask that you reconsider your position, as there are many eyes watching these actions right now. And regardless of your decision, I'm not going anywhere because at this point, I feel my rights have been violated and I won't stand for it. I'm standing with and for all those in this county that feel the same. Public trust is at an all-time low, and by removing me, you remove the only low-income farmer that sits on your commission, which is the only accurate representation of a large portion of your community. I also ask that you host a formal investigation of your planning commission and the staff members of to enforce the same set of laws and standards that you're trying to enforce on me right now. Thank you all for your time.
R. Lightfoot.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, you guys were asked to remove.
Could you introduce yourself?
I'm sorry, Richard Lightfoot, 19500 G Road, Delta.
Thank you.
You were asked to remove Victoria by members of the Planning Commission for disrupting the meeting. We can produce a lot more witnesses who were not handpicked by you guys to say that this was not the case. They said they were embarrassed. Your Planning Commission said they were embarrassed, and they should be. A young woman pointed out what they all should have known. If you remove her for addressing the illegal things that the Planning Commission has been doing, you would be allowing the corruption to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, everybody. Hey, Becky Lightfoot, 19,500 G Road, Star Nelson Airport, Delta, Colorado. You know, you think you're gonna say a lot of things and then you get up here and your heart turns into your stomach and you lose touch with your toes and you're not quite sure what you were gonna say in the first place. But I want to start by saying thank you for the coffee with the commission on Thursday. I was mortified to find out that Richard and I were late to your meeting, and I'm not one to do that, and I want to apologize for that. I would never interrupt your meeting on purpose.
No
late.
problem, and you're welcome.
You did give us 5 minutes about graciously, and I appreciate your time for that. In those 5 minutes, though, my husband brought up again, like I have several times, and I'm sure it's in the meetings, that I cannot hear you at the meetings. Some of you use microphones, some of you don't. I'm told the microphones are hot and that they could be used. So it was suggested we just move to the front row rather than use the microphones. And then I heard you say, you've never heard that before. Well, let's throw out the phrase ADA compliant. It is very difficult for us to hear you. I'm asking you to bring yourselves up to ADA compliance so that we can all hear you. I'm asking for both meetings. The commissioners are, you know how soft-spoken Jacob is. He's quieter than Mike is. It's very difficult to hear them. I don't want to have to stand on the wall. I'm told we have a $30,000 microphone set up, so let's go for that. Let's move on to how embarrassing that meeting was. All the meetings I've gone to, I walk away embarrassed, knowing that my planning commissioners are not planning commissioners, they're rubber stampers. They don't go to the site to see it very often. They have quite often said out loud, I know nothing about this project, but I'm voting for it. It's very clear to watch the meetings that they don't know their bylaws and they don't know Robert's rules. And Victoria tried to start the meeting by saying, before we heard these applicants and everything we do goes null and void, let's fix this. Let's just fix this thing. She just wanted to fix the thing with Jacob. It took half of the night. It ruined the applicant's night. It was crazy. We took a break, and when we came back from the break, you know who the chairperson was when we came back? It was Jacob again. How do you do that? See, that's where embarrassment comes into me. Not that she called out people that didn't know what they were doing, but to see that you have meetings being run by people who do not know what they're doing. And you have specifically told me they don't have training. So that's, for me, where the embarrassment comes in. I think Victoria rocks. She had a soft, sweet, gentle, calm demeanor. Steve Schrock got very upset. Hardy got upset. Some of your commissioners admitted they'd never even read Robert's rules. They're on the committee. They should know Robert's rules, even if it's the 10-page version of it. This is up to you guys, or you just want them to be your rubber stampers and they're just gonna keep doing what you want them to do. If they represent us, we want them to know Robert's rules. We want them to know their bylaws. For our sake, please. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Langford.
Cindy Sorensen.
My name is Cindy Sorensen. I live between Hotchkiss and Peonia, and I'm a small business owner. Mr. Cook, since you like quotes, here's a quote for you. All the great things are simple, and many can be expressed in a single word: freedom, justice, honor, duty, mercy, and hope. Winston Churchill. I've talked to you about integrity, and I'm here again because I don't see integrity in Delta County government. On March 8th, I went to the planning commissioner meeting and I was denied to speak. Freedom of speech. It was on the agenda, what I wanted to speak, and I was denied that right. So where's the freedom? Where's justice? Your planning commissioners are a group of people to represent Delta County, the people of unincorporated Delta County. You have one good apple in the bunch, and that's Victoria Turner. The apple cart is full of apples. You got some old apples in the cart that are spoiling. And those other apples around those spoiling apples are also starting to spoil. You got one good apple on top, trying to do the right thing. She spoke with integrity. She did her research. She trained herself in that position, and that was Victoria Turner. Tate Locks, David Merrick, Kate Darlington all live in city limits. They do not represent the people of unincorporated Delta County. Steve Schrock and Tom Kay have been there way too long. Those are the bottom apples that are spoiling. They need to be removed, or the whole cart will be spoiled. So I'm asking what you guys are going to do about it. Are you guys going to stand integrity? Do you guys have moral rights to represent the people of unincorporated Delta County? That's my question. I also want to say thank you for addressing the drone issues. I would like to see that in writing, that you will not be using drones to surveillance properties. I would like to see that in writing. I encourage you guys to do the right thing. Represent the people of unincorporated Delta County. I'm tired of coming up here and talking about integrity. You guys represent integrity. I want to trust my officials. I want to trust the planning commissioners. I don't have any trust right now, none, zero. So what are we going to do? Are we going to continue with the status quo of a corrupt government? Or are we going to move past that? That's my question. That's all I have to say. And I stayed within my 3 minutes.
Thank you. Nico Wolf.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Nico Wolf, I live outside Crawford. I do want to say thank you to the three of you for opening up such a big venue on February 28th and allowing so much time for everybody to speak. One refrain that I did hear a lot there was how folks here don't want Delta County to be like other places, like Picton County, Eagle County, Ridgeway, things like that. And I noticed in the agenda for today, there's a comprehensive housing strategy proposal coming from these places. We have 4 firms: Aspen, Minturn in Eagle County, Portland, Oregon, and Indianapolis are all proposing to give consulting advice on how to create a housing strategy for Delta County. And part of what we were saying on the 28th was that we want to grow what we're doing here from the ground up. That the people of Delta County want to have a real voice in how Delta County is developed and growing. And I just want to ask you to please reject those 4 proposals and look closer to home, because there are people here who have the skills and the talents to do what you need done in that capacity. So I'd just like you to consider that. And also on the, Mr. Schrock mentioned that Ms. Taylor, or Ms. Turner, sorry, is noted as a group expert on the Freedom to Build Facebook group. And I would just like to note that Mr. Schrock is also a member of that group, and he was also invited to be a group expert since he is a seasoned member of the Planning Commission, yet he has not accepted that invitation. And regarding Ms. Turner, this young lady is astute enough to read and understand the bylaws of the Planning Commission. She is astute enough to learn Robert's Rules of Order, which are a very complicated thing when you're coming right to them. And she's brave enough to stand up and speak truth and seek true answers. So I think by removing her from the Planning Commission is punishing bravery, and that's just goes against what makes sense. So I just ask you to keep her on the Planning Commission, and please reject those proposals, and let's work from home and grow from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico. Evelina Box.
Good morning. My name is Evelina Baida, and I live in Crawford. I have a few questions to ask you, and I know you don't like to engage in dialogue, but I would like for you to ponder those questions and yeah, maybe answer them if you can. The first question is, have you seen the meeting of the Planning Commission on February 8th? And I know you said to me before that you're not allowed to watch those. I think you're going to make a decision on something that you should educate yourself on. And I understand there's rules as far as project decisions, which might come to you after the decisions I made in different bodies, but this is not about a project. This is about the bylaws and the regulations that are governing the body that is making quasi-judicial rules and decisions. This is really important. If you haven't watched those, please watch it. That's why they're recorded. And I hope you do before you make a decision, so you can find out for yourself how people were speaking to Victoria, how the members of the Planning Commission were speaking to Victoria. And I'm generalizing here, but a lot of people were making very inappropriate comments and gestures. And the body language was really interesting to see how people were just appalled at what Victoria was talking. And she was very composed, and she was not out of line by bringing up the rules that everybody should have understood at that meeting. And I will mention that at least 2 members of the Planning Commission actually asked during that meeting, can the PC bylaw agenda item, could it be moved to the beginning of the session? And it sounds like maybe they acknowledge the fact that if the Planning Commission doesn't resolve those issues first, the other decisions specifically on that project at that time could be null and void. So I think it was very important, just like you moved your agenda item today for a reason, and I can speculate on those reasons, but this is up to the discretion of the board and the commission to make these important decisions. And I think that should have been made. There were 2 other meetings before that when the Planning Commission knew that their bylaws were in question, and nothing was done before that. I think that's really important, that should have been addressed right away as soon as those issues were raised, which was on February 8th, actually 7th. I'm sorry, February 8th. Yes. So another thing I wanted to ask you is about the training of the Planning Commission. And I've been talking to some prior members of the Planning Commission that mentioned the same thing, that the training was not offered to people. And if people wanted to do any kind of training for the Planning Commission or the governing rules of the Planning Commissions, they had to do that on their own time and their own dime. I don't think that's acceptable. I know they're volunteers, but they're making important decisions for the entire county. I think there should be trained better or be able to seek out training and maybe be reimbursed for that. I think that's really important to invest in our community. I will, Victoria mentioned this just now, but I will say it again. We need the reasons for the allegations that are being presented of her misconduct and non-performance. This is, if you are, I know you have vacant positions in the planning commissions and you're always saying, if you want to make these, if you want to be involved, apply to the planning commission. We're seeing what is happening when you do apply to the planning commission and trying to make these decisions. You're presenting to us what we're going to be subjected to. If we, at any point, question what is happening on the planning commission and educate ourselves and train ourselves to do our job correctly and in the right way. So please consider that. I think training is really important and you need to be able to present the reasons for a critique or possible removal or dismissal of a planning commission member.
You need to summarize, please.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Marty Sanchez.
Hi, Marta Sanchez. I'm from Peonia. Good morning.
Good morning.
In relation to the removal of the PC member Victoria Turner,
Could you speak up just a little bit?
yes. In the relation of the removal of PC member Victoria Turner, I'm wondering, what are the written charges? Where have the written charges been published? If the written charges have not been published or are not presented prior to this meeting here on the 21st of the Board of Commissioners, how you are going to consider into her removal? Where is the copy of, where is the public notice for a public hearing required under the 2021 look prior to the removal of the Planning Commission member, Ms. Turner? So I'm wondering how the law is being applied here. And it's evident that in the case of the PC members, it looks to me and many of us in my community that they don't know exactly what they are doing. I don't know if you really know, and you are also know the law and the bylaw. So you have been selected by your people. We expect that you are in our side, how we want to live here. But really, after the 28th of February meeting, where more than 100 people speak about what we want in a very calm way, it looks like that was a show, another show. So I didn't see result from that, any result that really went in the direction that you decide that night. We are continuing with the plan, a hidden agenda looks like, where you and the PC have like a hidden agenda that you're not listening us. Doesn't look like. And this is serious. This is really serious. And we are not going to give up to say what we think. Maybe you can win this time and the PC can win in their directions. But we harvest what we sow. So I think I speak for many people in the Delta County. We are losing absolute trust on our representative. And I think you should consider this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna go with Daniel Kelso.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel Kelso. I live in Delta Unincorporated, outside of Paonia. I just want to address a few things quickly here. Sean Supis, you made a comment after the February 8th meeting, the one where like 400 people were there, that, and you've made this comment before, and I've heard, I think, from you, Wendell, as well, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And a lot of us who made comments that evening in opposed to the 2022 and 2021 land use codes are very much not misinformed. You know, when I tell somebody about what's going on, I send them a link to the 2021 and 2022 codes. And that's how I was informed by these people. That's how it's getting passed around. We're reading the code. We're very much informed. And we're stating our grievances. And, you know, so to just say that there's a lot of misinformation going around is a huge discredit to your constituents.
Yes.
And it comes off as elitist, and it makes us feel unrepresented, and it makes us want to vote for somebody else. And I speak for everybody that heard that when the comment, when you guys receive, you know, 300 comments and emails, or 400 comments, and saying that they speak for their neighbors, you know, most people, so times that by 5, about that they're, you know, we're in opposition to these land use codes, these 2021, the foundation. Someone made a good point. That's the foundation that we're working from. And it's full of cracks and it's full of crumbles. And more importantly, the people of Delta County don't like it. We think we can do better. And we've done better in the past. And in response to some of the people's comments, well, if we didn't have these, it'd be chaos. It wasn't chaos for all of Delta County's history up to 2021. Those didn't resolve, you know, so we're not misinformed. We're reading the codes, all of us, not just a few people telling other people. We're all reading the codes. You know, and we're hearing stories of people that have had to go through the code process. And so I would just really like that to be recognized. There's not a ton of misinformation. That's really, I guess, all I need to get across. And I do know you guys are just people doing your jobs and you're trying your best. But we need you to try harder. We need you to like really look at us like equals here and recognize the rule, you know, the format of how this works. You know, you guys are our representatives representing us. You know, and you're not babysitting us, you know, and trying, you know, we're capable of understanding what's going on here. We're capable of showing up. I'm going to show up, and I will volunteer myself to be part of these, you know.
Sir, I'll need you to summarize.
Yeah, I just, you know, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Arlene Nierenberg.
Oh, I didn't realize I was gonna be up this soon.
Mine is a different topic.
That's okay. Come on out.
Okay. I'm not quite that organized and I thought I had time to make notes. Okay, I'm here.
Please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Arlene Nierenberger, 41447 Lamborn Mesa Road, Paonia, which is about 1 mile to 1 mile and a third outside of the city limits. I'm very concerned about the Citizens for a Healthy Community approach to the future use of energy. I agree that it is time that people should be responsible stewards of their land and of their future generations' use of energy and being blessed with the soil and the air and the water. Okay, I don't know how long this will take. I'll start left to right. Mr. Lane made remarks about China and socialism, and I grew up in Wisconsin. China has bought major farmland, and the farmland is just gorgeous in Wisconsin. They promised to build a factory and promised much employment if the state gave them financial reimbursement. And the acres and acres of farmland was cleared of houses, and the soil was all changed to pavement and a huge building. And I haven't checked the internet lately, but that factory did not result in the massive employment they promised. In the meantime, Mr. Lane also mentioned socialism when Natasha repeatedly offered all the money that was available. And, okay. Today's situation is indeed a global situation. China has also purchased in Wisconsin a circle of property that includes their major population areas and with the promise of employment. And I understand as of month, I haven't checked since like 4 months ago or something, and China has not promised their employment. That includes resources of water with Lake Michigan, with Green Bay, and Milwaukee. It includes a city on the Mississippi River. I don't know if I've mentioned Madison, that's inland. And they were minimally occupied also, I believe. When these situations are put together, in that first situation, it follows the pattern that I hear is going across the nation. That China new ownership is within a reasonable amount of drive to the naval base in Waukegan, Illinois, which I understand might be the only naval base for the basic training of our sailors. Okay, and how much time do I have left? None. Okay, I have other things to be continued at another date then. I have a handout for you. Can I give you that to you at least? And then
Go ahead and give it to Lindsay and she'll pass it around.
Okay. I'm just gonna go down and cover everything, including Rob.
And you're always welcome to submit written comments.
Pardon?
You're always welcome to submit
Yeah.
written comments.
Okay,
That's the end of the people who have signed up. Is there anybody else in the room that'd like to visit? Please come forward. Do sit down and introduce yourself.
My name is John St. George. I live at 18855 Green Valley Road outside of Cedar Ridge. I moved down here from Routt County, Steamboat Springs area. There was an agenda. I think the county commissioners and the planning commission there, they wanted to make Steamboat into a world-class community. There was a lot of confusion, but there was impetus to continue this. The result for me personally was, as a school teacher, I was pretty much driven out of the county by code. I had 35 acres out of town by code issues, by super increased taxes. I'm a latecomer to this subject, but I get the feeling, just as a layperson, that there is a lack of trust in terms of the community. There's a lack of information. There were illegal issues in Steamboat Springs and Routt County that I see similar to what's going on here. A concern I have also in moving forward with all the legal issues that may be presented by continuing without addressing these legal issues, that the county and myself will be paying for extensive litigation in the future. Just as a layperson, I think this is headed this way. So I would encourage you to do what you feel necessary to address the legal issues that have been presented here, and that there be certainly more open communication and welcoming communication between the citizens of Routt County and you. And unfortunately, it feels to me like I've seen this before. The result was that I had to leave my home of 30 years. I moved down here. I enjoy it here, but I'm concerned that we may be headed in that same way. Thank you.
Thank you. We have somebody from the overflow room, Kirk Rockwell. If you can hear me, Kirk, come on over. Good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for bearing with us. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Kurt Rockwell. I live here on F Road. I think it's obvious here that there's a lot of concern about what you guys are doing. I'm coming out of an overflow room. And what I would just like to say is that my dad and two uncles fought in World War II. They fought for my right to be free. They fought for my liberty to do as I please, as long as I don't violate someone else's rights or threaten somebody. And I would just like you guys to take a step back. And we are a country of laws. That sets us apart from a lot of other countries. We're not a country of dictators. We're a country of law. And you guys need to know the law. You cannot take an oath to defend and uphold the law when you don't know the law. You have to know it. So you guys need to take a step back and stop violating the law. The laws you guys write, you violate. This is wrong and it's not acceptable. And my dad and my uncles didn't go to war for me to sit here and give it away to you guys. And I won't. I'm fighting for my children and for their rights. So you guys just do the right thing.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, we're going to close the.
Anybody on the computer?
Oh, anybody on the computer? Sorry.
Just raise your hand if you're online and you want to speak. You can say that a little bit louder so I can hear that.
Raise your hand.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Online if you want to speak.
Mike and Nan.
Natasha wants to speak.
Seeing none?
No.
Natasha.
wants to speak. Go ahead, Natasha.
Good morning, Commissioners. Natasha Leger in Paonia. I just wanted to say that I was surprised to see item 11 on the agenda regarding removal of Victoria Turner, Planning Commissioner, considering that the land use code is very specific on the requirements and standards for removal that require a public hearing. I apologize. I had difficulty getting on this morning, so I don't know if there were any changes to the agenda in that agenda item. But given the fact that removal cannot take place without a public hearing, I would recommend that that agenda item be removed from the agenda. And lastly, I want to say that government accountability, citizen accountability is what makes for better government. And we at CHC have been striving for that for many years. And it's really important that accountability not be shut down by our elected officials. So again, I encourage you to remove that item from the agenda. Thanks.
Agenda item 11 has been moved to agenda item 1. I thought you should know that.
Well, thank you for that. Since it's been moved to item 1, I hope that it's going to be removed as well, since you can't take action according to the land use code. But discussion would be fine, but action is not allowed under the code.
Hearing none, we're going to close constituent time. I appreciate everybody's comments. Appreciate everybody being civil and factual. At this time, we're going to turn it over to County Clerk Terry Stevenson.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have the minutes for the February 28th BOCC special meeting. And I also have the minutes from March 7th, 2023 BOCC regular meeting. Could you speak up, please? Are there any changes, additions, or deletions for those minutes?
I have none.
None here.
The other item I have on the board today is consideration of a sales room application for on and off premises for J.K. Cider Company, AKA Clear Fork Cider, to be located at 37443 Back River Road in Paonia. I received an application from Jay Kenny. I believe he is on the Zoom meeting this morning. In your packet, you received the application for the liquor license, a diagram of his property and the control plan that he has for the sales room. He has, we've received all the documentation necessary at this time. And Jay, would you like to add anything to this?
I don't have anything to add. I just appreciate the commissioners hearing this. I expect it to be approved, but if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. And for what it's worth, I went through the development process required under the 21 code, and it went fairly smoothly without major hiccups.
Thank you.
I wanted to remind the board that really what you're looking at is the bottom portion of that application, notice vehicle licensing authority. And I believe Mr. Kent had all of the criteria or not, whichever is needed. I am recommending that you do approve this sales room license at this time.
Questions, comments, commissioners?
I'll move that the board approve the sales room application for JK Cider Company, AKA Clear Fork Cider, to be located at 37443 Back River Road in Paonia.
I second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kenny.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
So commissioners, it's time for our business. We have moved item 11 to item 1, board's consideration of removal of Planning Commissioner Victoria Turner for misconduct and non-performance. Ms. Turner, you're welcome to join us up front if you'd like. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like you to give Ms. Turner a chance to rebut any comments that might have been made during the comment period.
I'd like to ask County Attorney John Baer to go ahead and read the charges.
Okay.
And give Ms. Turner a chance to visit with us after that.
Thank you. So written charge regarding Planning Commission member Victoria Hope Turner. Delta County Planning Commission member Victoria Hope Turner is charged with non-performance of duty and misconduct. In Commissioner Turner's time on the PC, she has demonstrated a pattern of disrespect, misconduct, and dereliction of duties. Specifically, at the February 8, 2023 PC meeting, she inappropriately stated information regarding the purported position of the county commission regarding the then pending amendments to the 2021 land use code. Whether the information shared was accurate or not, Planning Commissioner Turner's statements in a public meeting demonstrate misconduct and show a deep disrespect for the statutory role of the PC and the separate statutory role of the Board of County Commissioners. Also, during the PC meeting on March 8, 2023, Planning Commissioner Turner interrupted a public hearing on a project to make a political point. Planning Commissioner Turner continually interrupted the proceedings and was combative and disruptive when the PC attempted to proceed with the scheduled hearing. Even after responses were made to her point of information, unquote, she persisted and attempted to derail the PC's work. She sought to dominate discussions, disrespected fellow PC members, and engaged in disruptive behavior. She was partially successful since, because of her actions, the PC was forced to recess, delaying action on the matter then pending before them. Once the hearing was allowed to proceed, Planning Commissioner Turner did not pay attention to the pending matter before the PC. In particular, the information presented by the applicant and the deliberation by the Planning Commission. She was observed being inattentive during the hearing and using her phone. Later, after completion of the hearing and without sufficient reason, she failed to complete her duty as a commissioner when abstaining to vote on the application before the PC, even though the concerns raised earlier had been addressed to the extent possible. On more than one occasion, Planning Commissioner Turner has been asked to conform her behavior to the purpose of the Planning Commission. These requests have resulted in no change to her behavior. Planning Commissioner Turner has demonstrated by her misconduct, non-performance, and apparent bias that she is not suitable to serve on the PC.
Ms. Turner,
Well, there are a few things that I'd like to address.
please address the commissioner.
Mr. Commissioners, I'd like to address the fact that in the written charges against me, as I stated previously, they're trying to twist my actions to mean misconduct. Misconduct is when you knowingly and arbitrarily commit a violation of laws imposed on you. The February 8th meeting, where I stated the proposed stance of Don Supis, it was told to me that this was public information and that anyone and their dog could know your political stance or your views on the work in a legislative capacity. We are encouraged to talk to our constituents and each other about the laws being passed, the legislative laws that we're passing. So that's all I was doing. And I was completely unaware that it would be turned against me as misconduct. So therefore it's not misconduct because I was unaware. And misconduct is a legal charge against me that states that I must have knowingly committed these crimes, and I did not. Secondly, the non-performance of duty, as I stated previously, I stated on the record, which was not put on the record by the Planning Commission staff, even though I specifically requested it be put on the record, state statutes that I believed I was in conflict with. Therefore, I had a conflict of interest, and it would have been illegal for me to vote on that matter at hand. Thirdly, I was on my phone because the information that gets sent to us is via email, and I was reading the information on my phone. There's no harm in doing that. You can observe many other PC members doing that very often, whether they're on their laptops or their phones. It may appear that they're not paying attention, but they have every right to view the information sent to them on their personal device rather than on the publicly provided devices. These charges are inaccurate. And as we've heard before, there's public video that could be viewed to make this decision. And in that video, you will hear your other Planning Commission members saying, we know we're breaking the law, but we're going to do it anyway. And if somebody wants to take it up in court later, they can do that. That is a quote from your Planning Commission members. That is misconduct. It is against the rule of law for us to sit here and try and press charges on me that you are not going to evenly enforce. The rule of law in this country states that laws will be enforced evenly among all people. This is a personal attack on my character, on my views, and because people are angry that I embarrassed them. They are angry at me for being a young lady new to the commission and that had taken time to do my research. That is it. They're angry that they didn't take the time and that they are not going to be allowed to do whatever they please anymore, because we, the people, are aware of what they're doing and the laws that they are breaking. It is public knowledge now that the commission below you has broken many laws and is continuing to do so. And this step of retaliation against me is another violation of laws imposed on your board, our board, and the community. Retaliation for me simply asking, and I will state, my point of information was, what laws do we follow on this commission? In this attempt to construe my actions, it says that my point of information was answered. In that video, you can see my point of information was never answered. Not a single member on that PC can give me one law that we follow. Not a single one of them. Not the staff, Carl giving legal advice to his commission when he was not asked to and is not able to give legal advice. It's completely uncalled for and inappropriate and exceeds his jurisdiction and his duties. Everything that's been happening up until this point has been completely lawless, completely with disregard for the members of our community. They have not been represented. And here we are today. That's all I have to say, is that this came to a shock, as a shock to me. I expected that maybe you guys would get a lot of pressure and decide to remove me, but the fact that you're actually trying to press charges on me for literally asking, what laws do we follow? The amount of disrespect I received from fellow members saying that they were not going to listen to me, that I would not keep talking. That is not how the commission works. We all have equal rights to talk, to ask questions, to debate, and to have answers to our questions. My question was not answered. I was continuously shut down and ridiculed. My intelligence was insulted multiple times by many planning commission members, as well as the intelligence of the people in the crowd, pointing to the members saying, these people don't know anything. That is inappropriate. That is biased. 13.1 of our bylaws. Members cannot show bias. This is where we are. This is outrageous, in my opinion, and I would like to hear what brought you guys to this decision to consider misconduct. What information was provided to you for you to think that I was guilty and to even have it on the agenda today?
Well, I'd like to introduce 3 points of clarity here. One, you do realize, Ms. Turner, that the Planning Commission is an independent board. The Board of County Commissioners has no oversight on that board. Our main responsibility is to appoint members, and in today's case, consider removing a member. So that would be government overreach. That is why it's a volunteer independent board. Second, the Planning Commission came to the Board of County Commissioners asking for this to be brought up today. So it was not something was generated from with the commissioners themselves. Third point, these are not criminal charges. The term charge does sound that way, but it could be viewed kind of like a permit in many different ways, but these are not criminal charges, okay? At this point, I'd like to open it up for questions, comments from our commissioners.
So I'll start, and absolutely, I told Victoria where I was going to vote on this, just like I told 500 plus other residents in this county. And I told her several times that this is legislative. This is not to do with an applicant, so there's no ex parte communication. And I don't see that there is any validity to that particular charge myself. Secondly, I will be voting no on this just because I told Victoria I was going to give her a chance. Not necessarily that she was wrong in the bylaw actions she was trying to discuss, but more the way it was gone about. And I've told Victoria over the phone a few times, that we need to learn how to control our rhetoric and get along with people if we want to get things done. Just because you're doing the most talking doesn't mean you're winning the argument. And Victoria's very intelligent and I think could make a great planning commission member. We just gotta get past the trying to control conversation and try to work with everybody a little more. So, but that's pretty much all I have to say here.
And Victoria, you understand we're not pressing charges. You understand that?
I understand that misconduct is a charge of, it's an official charge because I'm a member of a legislative government body. When you press misconduct, when you remove me from misconduct, that might prevent me from joining offices in the future because I was removed from misconduct. It is a legal charge that whether you pursue it or not, it's happened. It's a defamation of my name and my character, and I believe they're completely ungrounded anyway.
So you don't understand that we're not pressing legal charges against you. Would you expound on that a little bit?
Only to the extent that there's been discussion about concepts of crime or conviction. This has nothing to do with Title 18, and I've seen an email that you sent referring to Title 18. That's criminal law. This has nothing to do with the criminal law. Charges.
Does that help? Does that clarify that?
Clarifies a section of it, but again, you know, in the land code use, misconduct, and all of this is still public trial. It's still if it's not a charge, you know, what is it exactly? Because it says written charges against me. So what is that referring to?
Referring to the misconduct, but as far as a legal charge, I'm not in favor of charging you with any legality. This is about your removal from the Planning Commission board, not about a legal charge on that.
Mr. Lane, I can maybe,
Okay.
So the Colorado Revised Statute 3028-103 talks about, it really says, and this is it says shall provide for the, and then it talks about appointment, and then it says, the rest of that sentence says removal of a member for non-performance of duty or misconduct. That's the statutory basis here. I think the legal framework that the board has before it, though, is in adoption of the 2021 land use code. It goes on to say that any member of the planning commission may be removed for cause, misconduct, non-performance, and ineligibility. People have already quoted this today, by the board of county commissioners upon written charges and after a public hearing. So that's part of the land use code. I think that's what the board is subject to. The statute doesn't get into that detail. It says it shall provide, and I think the board has. It's interesting that it's really almost the exact same language that is in statute for the Board of Adjustment. And I don't know where that language came from in the 2021, but in the statute for removal of a Board of Adjustment member, it does talk about written charges and public hearing and that sort of thing. So it probably was adopted, but probably borrowed from that statute, but I don't know that.
And this constitutes a public hearing.
This is the opportunity for the public to weigh in on this.
Now, in your notice that you sent at 9:22 p.m. last night, you said you forwarded a document to the Attorney General, and you will not be dropping this topic regardless of my removal or not. Okay.
As I stated before, and as everyone in here has stated, I think it's very important that we follow the laws. I think this procedure right here is not lawful. As I've stated multiple times, the definition of misconduct is very specific. I have not done or performed any misconduct. You can remove me in your discretion, but to actually have written charges for misconduct, non-performance of duty is a totally different thing.
You are correct. It is at the discretion of the Board of County Commissioners for the members of the Planning Commission. And when, at least for me, the definition of misconduct here is behavior. It is our expectation that the Planning Commission, like all other boards and events, comport themselves with civility and utmost behavior, because you do represent Delta County and yourself and the Planning Commission. And the members of the public have the right to be treated civilly and with respect and with attentiveness. I'm hearing that has not been the case.
Not for any of your PC
So-
members. It's been awful.
Okay.
Insult after insult towards members of the community and myself and my intelligence. They're not following any rules. Admittedly, and as we're saying, misconduct is not performing your duty. We have members of your commission on record, on film, saying, we know we're breaking the laws and we're gonna do it anyway, and you're gonna sit quiet about it.
Okay, well put. If you were to retain your seat on the Planning Commission, would you be able to base your votes, your decisions solely on the 2021 land use code that is in effect and uphold those standards?
As long as it is in effect, that's what we have to go off of, yes.
Okay, because that's a very important question right now. You know, you have to support the 2021 land use code and base all of the decisions on that.
We cannot make any decisions until we're back in compliance with our bylaws though. So until that happens, I think that's the first question that we should be answering is how are we going to get back into compliance with our bylaws? How are we going to continue as a legal entity and represent our community?
Okay, but that is a yes, you would support the 2021 land use code with your decisions.
Yes, I'll support any document that we are required by law to base our quasi judicial decisions on. The duty.
In your letter of interest that you submitted that we relied on, you start out with your name Victoria Hope, and then you say Victoria Hope Turner. And so your legal name is Victoria Hope Turner, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you say, you feel you make an excellent addition to the committee. In many ways, I'm sociable and fair, as well as patient and reliable. Do you feel you've been sociable and fair in the PC meetings that you've been involved in?
I feel like those are very good words to describe myself. I've never had any arguments with anyone in this county. I'm very sociable, very fair. As I stated previously, the defensiveness is based off the misconduct and terrible treatment from your PC members towards myself and towards the community. I was shut down on my very first meeting. I was told, you are not capable to serve this position. You don't have enough knowledge or experience. These people have never met me, never talked to me. They don't know a single thing about me, and yet they feel that they can say those things to me because of my age and gender. That is not okay.
So
that is where the
you feel that the
defensiveness-
planning commission members are racist and that they are age discriminatory?
I believe they are treating me differently because I'm a young woman. I do believe that wholeheartedly. Where else are they getting the, you are not capable? Why would they tell me that? You are not capable to do this position. They don't know me. They've never met me. That was the first time I'd ever spoken to a single one of them. And that's the kind of comments I was receiving from my very first meeting. That is where I'm coming from right now, is that I have been treated with the utmost disrespect. And I try to be well composed. I try to be very fair and accurate with the things that I'm saying. I'm not going off biased opinions. I'm not trying to ruin anyone's character. These are all quotes. These are all things that can be found on the internet. These are all things that your constituents are watching happen. And then those people turn around and tell them what they can and can't do. But they're not following any set of laws themselves. And that is why we have 600 plus people showing up in outrage, is because they're not being represented. The commission voting and drafting laws in are not listening to them. I mean, we had members of the planning commission tell constituents, you're overreacting. That's
The
not
planning
appropriate.
commission doesn't make the laws.
They draft and vote them
OCC.
to you guys. I know that.
They submit them to us, but the commission is not, planning commission does not make the laws.
They enforce them, and might I add, in this last meeting, not a single one of them was referencing to the land code, the 230-page land code. Nobody was looking at it or referencing it. They were just throwing out, I think that this would be a good option. I think that you should have this. They're not upholding the law on any level at all. And that's what I pointed out, is that what laws, I just wanted to know, what laws do we follow? And if you watch the video, you'll see me reinstate that multiple times. Please answer my question. What laws do we follow? They say, fine, what do you want? What do you want? I said, I want us to have an honest conversation about, are we following the laws? They say, we're not going to talk about this. We have Steve Schrock actually say, we've already decided this and not all of us agree with you. That's an open admission of closed door meetings between the PC members on the record. This is what people are upset about. He is telling me that I have no right to speak because they have already, behind closed doors, made a decision on my point of information. I don't understand how we can go about this in any other way than to formally investigate and look at the conduct of other members as well as myself. And the rule of law apply the same rule to every member of the PC and go into their conduct and things that they've said and done and gestures and see how many of them are guilty of misconduct. It's abundant in the Planning Commission.
Okay. Commissioners, any other comments, questions, thoughts here?
I have none.
I do not know how this board is going to vote today. But whatever the vote turns out for, it is not based on gender, age, political views, persuasions. It is, it will be done on the best interest of the citizens of Delta County and those applicants coming before us and those who can conform their thoughts and decisions to the 2021 land use code right now. So when you say laws, I assume you mean the code,
In which reference?
the land use code. That's what the Planning Commission is referencing. So
When I say laws, in which way?
when you say you're applying, they're not following the law, there's also the code is what we're,
Many laws, yes, including the code.
Yes.
That's definitely included in it, but, state statutes, bylaws, parliamentary procedure,
I
the list
understand.
goes on. Ethics in government, not treating their constituents the way that they do, insulting them, shutting them down.
And I hope you feel like you've been treated with respect today. That's important to me. Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So what is the will of the board today?
I've already stated my position here. I've told Victoria that I want to give her the opportunity to become more amenable and work with the Planning Commission. I will not be making a motion or seconding for her removal because I gave her my word that I would give her a chance. That being said, I hope Ms. Turner takes it to heart here that, we've got to find a way to work together. Dominating conversation in a meeting, obstructing applications is not the way we go about it. You and I discussed this at length easily over an hour of phone conversations. And, I encouraged you as to how the Board of Commissioner relationship with the Planning Commission sits, as to how the bylaws, if they don't follow state statute, are not in effect technically. And I like I said, we had many conversations about how this needs to be addressed. You kind of took it your own way. That's your prerogative, but like I said, I will not be making a motion or a second, so. Yes, sir.
Are you intending on making a different motion?
The way I see it is if this goes with no action, then there's no action and she maintains her seat on the commission. Am I wrong?
That probably would be the result of the board, if it is the board's intention to retain. It might be cleaner to make a motion to reject the charges or however you want to say it. That's up to you.
Well, thank you for coming here. Thank you for conducting yourself. Appreciate that. Appreciate everybody in the audience being here and on the computer and in the overflow room. This is a hard decision. I hate making decisions like this. Appointing people to board that is a volunteer takes a lot of time, effort, and gumption on that person's part to even volunteer for this. I'm thinking,
Say that again, Mike.
I'm thinking.
Okay.
We're watching.
Well, thank you, Cindy.
You're welcome, sir.
Here, there's one person that wasn't, she was having trouble getting on. You can't.
We'll go past that.
I move that Victoria Hope Turner be removed from the Delta County Planning Commission Board. And for clarification, no legal charges will be brought by the county or the county commission. Go ahead and take your time. I took a few minutes.
Commissioner Supis has already stated his position on this one. I do believe in second chances too, and I honor Commissioner Supis's word. So I will not be seconding this one. With the thought that, Ms. Turner, that you do step up and make your very best effort to work with planning commission members and represent Delta County and not personal interests, okay? It's important that you represent Delta County and the 2021 Land Use Code. Does the planning commission need to get their house in order? Maybe so.
Yes.
So, but that is independent of the Board of County Commissioners. Okay,
I just do want to state that I can't get the planning commission in order. The people can't get the planning commission in order. They're not going to hold themselves accountable. So again, we're stuck at where do we go to get back in line?
okay. So the motion dies for lack of a second. I appreciate everybody being here today, and I appreciate the civility with which you conducted yourself. That's important. At this point, we're going to take a short comfort break. We'll re-adjourn at 10:10. Thank you.
There's no room for a mistake. Oh, did you?
Our friends all say, well, we're not.
Ready, Lindsay?
We won't be there.
Yeah.
Okay, Terry, Lindsay, you back on? Lindsay, you back with us?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to reconvene the Board of County Commissioners, March 21, 2023, with Commissioner Business. There's been a request to move agenda item 6 up. The board's consideration and appointment of Matt Clark for District 1 Planning Commission Associate Member. Mike, that's your district.
Yes, I would nominate Matt Clark for District 1 Planning Commission Associate Member that is vacant at this time. He submitted a letter of interest with his resume, which is very extensive and impressive. And Matt is here, and I move that we appoint Matt Clark for District 1 Planning Commission Associate Member.
Second the motion.
Is Mr. Clark here?
Yep.
I am here.
Very good, sir. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Good luck to you.
You just
Threw me into the.
It
Folks,
doesn't
hey,
happen
folks.
like that.
We got a lot to get through today. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Congratulations, sir. Guys, we are running behind schedule. Let's be as efficient as we could be here. Board's consideration and chairman's signature regarding memorandum of understanding between Delta County and the Criminal Justice Services and Drug Testing.
So that's, as we expand our adult diversion program to the South Judicial District, we need a venue whereby we can do drug monitoring as per bond guidelines and things that are issued by the court. So this would be just in addition to what we have here in place in Delta County, this would be for Montrose County. Yeah, I'm sorry. Montrose County, it's all funded through the ARPA grant that we received through 2024. And this would be renewed each calendar year.
Questions?
I'll move that the board approve the intergovernmental agreement by and between the County of Montrose, County of Delta, for the use of office space and ancillary uses of the Montrose County Health and Human Services Building.
And authorize the chair to sign.
You need to go up one
One
agenda.
more,
item.
this is item one.
I know it's confusing.
Oh, you know what? You're absolutely right. I apologize.
All good.
You said get efficient. I was getting efficient here. Okay, let's try this again. Apologize. I will move that the board approve the memorandum of agreement between the County of Delta, State of Colorado Criminal Justice Services, 7th Judicial District, Adult Diversion and Drug Testing Incorporated. Authorize the chairman to sign.
I second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Robbie.
Okay, next on the agenda then is just a signature on the IGA between the County of Montrose, Delta County for the use of office space and ancillary uses of Montrose County Health and Human Services Building. This has been reviewed by legal.
Any questions on this, commissioners?
I'll try this again since I
Okay,
got
sir.
practice. I'll move the board to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the County of Montrose and Delta County for the use of office space and ancillary uses of the Montrose County Health and Human Services Building.
I second that.
Discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Go ahead, Ron.
Okay, next is board's consideration regarding the reappointment of Bobby Jones to the Eckert Cemetery Board for a 6-year term.
I will happily make this motion for a reappointment of Bobby Jones to the Eckerd Cemetery Board for a 6-year term.
Second that.
Discussion? Hearing none, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is board's consideration of Delta County Library's recommendation that Kathy Steckel be appointed as Crawford representative, filling a vacant seat, and reappointment of Gail Davison as Delta representative and Paul Frazier as an at-large representative, again for Delta County Library Board.
Questions or comments, commissioners?
I move that we approve Kathy Steckel as a Crawford representative, filling a vacant seat, and reappointment of Gil Davidson as a Delta representative, Paul Frazier as at-large representative in Delta County Libraries.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is board's consideration for reappointment of Gary Tollefson to the Corey Cemetery Board.
Once again, I will happily make that reappointment of Gary Tollefson to the Corey Cemetery Board for a 6-year term.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done.
I know we're in a rush, but for anybody out there on the phone, you see your cemetery board members, give them kudos. They do a lot of work with not a lot of resources, and it's a tremendous job they do all throughout this county. So
We're not in a rush, we're just being efficient.
como si, como so.
Next is board's consideration regarding the appointment of Casey Dukeman to represent the city of Delta on the Delta County Tourism Cabinet.
How active has Casey been? Do we know?
He's just
Just getting
just reappointed if you, or just appointed if you all move in that direction. So this is the recommendation from the city of Delta.
Questions, comments, Commissioner?
It is their representative.
the city of Delta gets a representative on the board, and this is the one that they put
Well, I
forward.
move that we appoint Casey Dukeman to represent the city of Delta on the Delta County Tourism Cabinet.
Second motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is board's consideration, appointment of Cody Houseford to the Hotchkiss Cemetery Board to fill a vacancy.
I move that we appoint Cody Houseworth to the Hotchkiss Cemetery Board to fill an empty seat.
Second.
Discussion,
This would also be a 6-year term.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Could you give me Cody's address, please, for contact?
Next is board's ratification for a pass-through grant with the Technical College of the Rockies from the Department of Local Affairs in the amount of $50,000 with the $62,636 match for a multi-use medical lab training facility to increase employment capacity for not only Delta County residents, but Montrose Mesa as well.
Did we skip number 9?
We did. That's okay.
Okay, we did skip number 9. We are on number 10. We will go back to number 9.
Okay, thank you.
There's a long lead in, let's not waste it.
So are we doing to 10?
10, yes.
Okay, yes, the TCR, we have done already grant through Dover with them last year. It was very productive on their construction. And they're doing another one for medical providers to increase talents and salaries. And we would like to recommend a ratification of that pass-through grant again this year with Technical College of the Rockies.
Any other questions, discussions, commissioners?
Thank you for all your efforts, Leona. As always, we appreciate it.
And I understand they're actually going to put an ambulance in this.
There's going to be an ambulance classroom within a classroom, yes.
Pretty exciting.
Mhm.
I will move that the board ratify the pass-through grant with Technical College of the Rockies from the Department of Local Affairs in the amount of $50,000 with a $62,636 match for multi-use medical lab training facility to increase employability.
Second that.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Back to 9. Commissioner Simmons?
So you guys will see we put out an RFP for a remodel of the jail. This is the design only. This is not construction. We had one bidder return a bid. This was quite a bit higher than we had expected, given the scope of the project. I am going to ask that the board set this aside and allow me a chance to meet with the single bidder we had to see if there are things in there that aren't lining up, just to see if we can't bring this cost down. It's like I said, it's quite a bit higher than what we expected. There are a lot of moving issues with the jail, and it does take quite a bit of design, especially for a remodel and a phased remodel at that we're trying to go through here. But this fee is pretty high. So
you want to table it till?
I'd like to see us put it off until our next meeting and have authorization from this board to proceed with possible negotiations or some manner of getting this price down. And then come back to you guys.
John, will that need a motion?
I don't think that necessarily needs a motion. I think our purchasing policy allows the buyer of the county to enter into negotiations on the front end here and that sort of things.
Okay.
That's acceptable.
Thank you.
And Don, we appreciate your hard work on that.
Of course, trade them down.
You know,
They'd love to see Don come.
I doubt it, but that's okay.
Next for your consideration is a general support letter for the Farmer's Ditch grant application. The Farmer's Ditch is approaching numerous funding agencies and entities for improvement of the Farmer's Ditch, and it's a general letter of support for your consideration and signature.
Well, I move that we support this letter for the Farmer's Ditch grant application.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Next is ratifying the warrants.
I'm getting there. Well, I move that we approve the fund expenditures from the various funds paid by warrant numbers 146971 through 147372 and ACH transaction 442-460 from January 25th, 2023 through March 13th, 2023, totaling $3,164,253.82 in accounts payable and $1,555,553.17 in monthly county human services and health department February payroll 2023 for items budgeted and approved per Delta County policy.
A second?
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done. Thank you, Ron. This is the part of our meeting where we go to the planning commission. Or planning department. PC has been on my mind this morning. Welcome, Carl, Katie. We'd like to welcome Angie Kemp. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So, Carl, at this point, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This first item, PLN 21076, the James application. We received an email this morning prior to the meeting that Mr. James is withdrawing his application, so we will remove this item from the agenda. There's no need to take action on it at this point. If you'd like, we have a copy of the email if you'd like to see that. It was just really just said I did want to move forward with the subdivision and he's withdrawing his application.
Very good.
Item 2, PLN 22180 SED Enterprises LLC. This is a minor plat. It's a 2-lot subdivision along the north side of Southwest 11th, just west of the town of Cedar Ridge. Part of that subdivision includes dedication of right-of-way for Southwest 11th, about 1.2 acres as a public road. So before you today is consideration to accept the dedication of right-of-way at the center line of Southwest 11th and authorize the chair to sign the final plat. We do not have this final plat here today, but we'd like to get the authorization to sign it once that is completed.
Questions for Director Holm on this or staff?
I have none.
I have none. I'll make a motion that the board accept and authorize the chairman to sign PLN 22-180 SED Enterprises, a quick claim deed dedicating right away to Delta County for Southwest 11th Avenue as a public road.
Second.
And that's in Cedar Ridge. Fair. Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, next item 3. This item was at the request of your board to consider extending the moratorium on renewable energy, solar applications. The initial moratorium concluded on March 6th. Before you today is consideration for extending that for 6 months or until standards are incorporated into the county's land use code, whichever occurs first.
Without watching me count my fingers, when would, this was adopted, when would that 6-month expire?
It would.
In 6 months.
Sorry.
You could use it.
Yeah.
I'll walk right in.
September 21st.
Thank you.
Yes.
Gentlemen, this is one I would, I have been backing. I do think we need to extend the moratorium until we get appropriate safeguards and codes in place so that industrial solar fits well with our land use and within our communities.
I just on principle going to disagree with that. I think this is trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. We don't have anybody signed up to do this. And it's, it's a private property right to install that solar, as we've done in the past in applications without having it in our land use code. There is a process forward that can be allowed to meet the needs. And I just don't think, I don't think a moratorium is the right answer.
There is some verbiage in the solar part of the land use that I would kind of like to have in there. So I'll move that we extend the moratorium on solar in unincorporated area of Delta County, referencing resolution 2022 R-026 for 6 months.
I'll step down in second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Well noted, Don. Your arguments are not invalid, okay? So I appreciate you speaking.
Mr. Chair, this is a new resolution, so it would need a new resolution number for 2023.
This will be resolution 2307.
So we did not adopt a resolution. That's going to have to be handled now as a resolution. Yes.
So you'll have that next time?
I have it.
Oh, yeah, it is here.
It was attached to your agenda.
Yeah, it's here. Mike just needs to read the resolution and do it again,
Just so you can say nay.
just so I can say nay.
I amend my first motion,
Actually, that motion's already been passed, so you're gonna have to adopt a new motion for a resolution.
and it is what number?
07.
I move that we pass resolution number 2022 R dash,
2023.
holy cow. I move that we adopt resolution number 2023 R dash 07, extending the solar moratorium for 6 months.
I'll step down in second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, item 4 is regarding awarding a professional consultant services for housing strategies. We put an RFP out, 2023 RFQ-03. We received 4 proposals. The 4 firms, staff went through the applicant or the proposals. We find that they were all well qualified. Prices range primarily around 40,000, and then there was one about 56, 57,000. We do have a grant from the state, from DOLA, where it's a 25% match. So the total cost, 40,000, 10,000 would be to the county, 30,000 would come from the DOLA grant. That grant does require the work to be done by a consultant. And so with that, as I said, 3 of the proposals are within the $40,000 range. One was a little bit higher. The 4 companies, there's Contour Design Collective LLC out of Minturn, Colorado. Clausen Raleigh Associates Incorporated out of Aspen, Colorado. Leland Consultant Group, which is based in Portland, Oregon. And then Thomas P. Miller and Associates based out of Indianapolis. Just to note that number 4, Thomas P. Miller and Associates, they did prepare the Opportunity Zone Prospectus and Master Riverfront Plan for Delta County back in 2021. In addition, the Clausen Riley and Associates, former planner Angie Kemp, who's here today, is now working with that firm. But as I mentioned, otherwise, I think all 4 firms meet the qualifications and could do the work as recommended. Any questions? I did attach the proposal so you could see that in more detail of who the teams were.
Yeah, thank you. I saw that.
Carl, it came up this morning, this particular item. Could you explain what the purpose and need of this study is?
The state has identified that they want they'd like the local agencies to really address affordable housing. How do we get affordable housing put into place? The idea behind this strategy is to look at where there's opportunities to do that, exactly that, affordable housing. We have a capstone student that's doing some mapping, that's looking at things like infrastructure and things that are needed for higher density, to make housing affordable. And then what would be the idea is that this, whoever this is awarded to would then take that and put it into strategies that could go into the master plan. And so we'd have a map that shows kind of opportunity areas and then strategies of how we would go about that to try to really encourage affordable housing in Delta County.
And then also, part of it is just that cumulative impact with the municipalities. Because of course, the housing is primarily with the municipalities. So that would be part of that, because each of the municipalities, primarily City of Delta and a few others, are actually doing these more in-depth housing as well.
That was my question. Why would the county be in affordable housing when they need water and sewer?
Again, this is just to add to what the municipalities are doing. It is primarily within the housing group, their lead. Are there any strategies that we at Delta County can support when we look at those areas closer to the municipalities?
So.
This was the
Oh,
DOLA
sorry.
grant that you all approved us to go after 6 months ago, and Delta County was awarded.
So there's been a lot of talk in the legislature, at CCI meetings for the last 3 months. We've had this topic of discussion. The state legislature is pushing this affordable housing very hard, and they are going to, they're trying to put the onus on the local municipalities. I get a feeling just with listening to some of the conversations that the legislature feels that the cities aren't doing enough, and that's why they're starting to focus on counties more. I think this is, if we don't have this tool in the toolbox, it will be mandated upon us at some time in the future just because of the way the legislature is heading. I still agree with Mike. I mean, the primary issue here is the municipalities, because the only way you make affordable housing work is with water and sewer. And we just don't have that available to us in unincorporated Delta County for the most part. So, but like I said, if we don't have this tool in the toolbox, it will be forced upon us. And I'd imagine when that comes, it'll cost considerably more than it does now.
And I should add that all of them do include where they're looking at the background information. So again, the work that the capstone students doing, the hood group that was looking at affordable housing and had a number of community meetings. There was some work that was done by the housing authority. And then once they get that, they're going to engage the public and policymakers, which does include the municipalities. So they do intend to go out and engage the municipalities because, as you mentioned, it's where are the services that are going to be near the municipalities. So we need to have that engagement as part of this process.
Carl, in the bids, only the first bidder, Contour Design Collective, spelled out website and survey.
That's correct.
Is the other proposals inclusive of that?
Not that I read in their proposals.
So if the other bidders would be requested to do that, that would be an additional cost beyond their bid.
Correct. Similar to Contour Design, their base bid was $33,200, and then the website another $6,500, and survey $3,500. So it ended up about $42,000 total if we went with the options for the website and the survey.
Other questions, comments on this, commissioners?
I have a relevant question.
Who's speaking? I can't.
I'm wondering.
Please step forward. We can't hear you. This is unusual. We don't normally do
Yeah,
this.
thank you for this. I think it's relevant. So why this?
Make sure your mic is on, the red light is.
It is.
Okay, go ahead.
Why this has to be outsourced? Why cannot be use the labor and people from Delta County to build those things? That is what needs to be planned and do it.
We didn't get any applications from
Well,
anybody in Delta
and-
County. Is that
I
right?
was offered because how many people knows about it? I'm just saying that since you are the planning
Please address the
department,
commissioners.
So
since you are the planning, why don't provide jobs
the,
and bring the money local?
it was stated earlier, the grant requires that this be done by a consulting agency, by a third-party agency. These were the agencies that submitted an RFP process.
If you'd like, Mr. Chair, Matt is here who put the grant package together if there's specific questions about how the money works.
I don't have any. I think it's-
Well, the other thing is anything that comes out of the state Colorado, the state legislature is going to benefit the consultant class. That's just the way they do it. And they're going to require everything to be done through consultants and engineers because that's the consultant class. And they very rarely allow things to be done in-house by a local government.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other comments, questions, commissioners?
Oh, sorry, there's somebody else.
I was just gonna say that, as with all RFPs, this is published through BidNet Direct. And it goes to anybody that's, well, currently has a membership there, but also is published on the Delta County website, as well as in the Delta County Independent. And any firms anywhere in the world, realistically, including those in Delta County, had the opportunity to bid on this.
So did everybody hear that? This was posted
No.
everywhere. It was posted on our BidNet, which is a company that organizes RFPs for counties, municipalities all across the United States. It was posted on our Delta County website and it was in the DCI. So that's how we got the bidders on this. No more. Okay. So commissioners, what's your pleasure? Carl, anything else?
No, sir.
Based upon the price point, I will move that we award RFQ 2023-03 for professional consulting services to Contour Design Collective LLC for $33,200.
I second that.
Could I ask for clarification, Mr. Chair? Does
Yes.
that include the website and surveys or you're doing it because that would be the additional cost?
Are those required or are we going?
They are not required, no.
So I am going to say if we come to the point that those need to be required, that you come back to the board and ask for approval on those extras.
Okay.
So they're all ranked on their base.
Yes.
Bid. Any other discussion? I would could make a case for bidder number 2, Clausen Raleigh. Angie Kemp is on the team and she does know Delta County.
I can appreciate that. I'm also concerned that thank you, Ms. Kemp, for coming. Thank you for your services to Delta County. But she was also the one that presented this to the county for this and to begin with. And I have concerns of making sure that we're staying above board on this.
Very good.
May I just add something? Carl actually presented it to your board in October of 2021, so it wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, Angie, I thought you were the
Well, I
presenter.
brought the grant to you, but he presented
Okay.
the bill that created the grant.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's okay.
So we ready? All those in favor of awarding this RFQ?
Did you have a second?
We did. Oh,
I made the motion. Did you, you didn't second?
I'll second it.
I thought you did. Sorry, Mike. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Aye, so done. Thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes planning.
Thank you.
Next, we have Human Services, and I see Annie Gallegos is not here.
She was out in the hallway a second ago, so,
Was she?
yeah. I thought.
Welcome. Thank you for being patient with us. We are a little behind schedule. Good morning. Welcome to you and your team. What we got for us today?
So today we're going to, you get a double presentation of the financials. Lori will start with the first report, and then Leona will go through some of the numbers.
Report, if there's any questions on that. Report, it's a standard monthly.
Yeah, nothing looked out of the normal to me, so.
What's that?
6 months. I owe you.
I gotta get them for it. No.
Good.
I'm going to talk about the spreadsheet that you guys get every month. And for the month of January 2023, it's usually the most expensive for health, human, and the county because we pay our workers' comp and our liability insurance in January. So at the bottom, we should be at no more than 8.33% expended, and human services currently is 8.95 due to the fact that we paid most of those huge bills in January. So, going to the second and third page, the second page takes your 2023 benefits that are passed out to all providers within our county. And I see that SNAP in January was a lot higher than in 2022 because of the benefits, which is 100% federal funded. The county doesn't fund any of that, but it does make your numbers look higher this year compared to 2022. So, any questions on any of that?
We're expecting that SNAP to go down in February because of the change in the
Yes,
health
the
order.
last of the max benefit went out in February.
Okay.
So it'll be probably about 2 months when we get to be able to see March that we would see that change.
Any idea what level that'll drop to?
I think it's going to be a significant drop.
By half?
Even more than that potentially, depending on how much the individual was qualified for and then how much the max allotment was. So if their benefit, was a certain couple of $100, they could be dropping down to $28. So that kind of just depends on what they would intentionally be eligible for.
And that changes across the country, not just in Delta County.
Right. I think the state estimated about a 30% drop in the households benefit.
But we won't know until those numbers are higher, so.
Have you had any pushback from people walking in?
I think we've had questions. The state did set up a 1-800 number for people to access and call. And I think they saw it was a 400% increase in that's statewide of people asking questions and voicing concerns and within the office and to individual texts. We've seen a little bit, but not much. It's mostly just information. So to provide why it's happening, it's not just Delta County unilaterally making this decision, it's the state, it's federal, and so how we're complying with it and what that looks like. So we try to provide a lot of information.
We also did a food resources list. So we're putting that out. I'm not sure if you guys have yeah, but has all of the organizations that have food resources available.
Thank you.
Yep, and there's some opportunities, I think, for local food banks to apply for some assistance with improving their supply, but I don't know if any of our food banks, at least I haven't heard that they're applying. So I'm not sure, but there's opportunities out there as well. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Leona.
Thank you, Leona. So the two other things we wanted to discuss today, the PIP sanction to counties. You probably saw some of this come out from the Child and Family Services Review, which is the federal review that they did. They conduct these reviews within 6 counties and the state. So there's 2 permanency outcomes that have not been met by those 6 counties. And some of them are for specific reasons. For example, one of the well-being outcomes is caseworker visits with the child. Or of those 6 counties, which were not included in that county sampling, but it will affect all of us. The visits are being made, but they're trying to, the substance of the visits isn't meeting a federal requirement potentially. So those are some of the things they're looking at. They have one more review, but if that review does not allow us to, those 6 counties to pass in those 2 outcome measures, we could potentially be looking at about a $2 million sanction that will come to the state. They will filter that down to all of the 64 counties. And what that means is that we will not be able to draw down some federal dollars. So we're working with the state to help those other counties and provide assistance and guidance as needed to just support them so that we can pass through these next 2 measures. So you'll see some information about that because that will have an impact to all of our allocations in the next couple of years. Any questions about
Questions on that one, Commissioners?
Nope.
You're on a roll.
The next piece is the state has now completed essentially their child welfare workload study and their adult protection workload study. They have done this in 2 pieces. One was going through and having focus group meetings with state and counties. The other part was just driving data numbers, how many cases per caseworker and how many, looking at population, what counties are needing to increase their staff as well. So we're going to be seeing some outcomes from there. They're trying to figure out how it's not a one-size-fit-all approach because each county looks so vastly different with population. But it looks like there will be an increase in FTEs for both of those program areas. I anticipate a minimum of at least 4 to 5 child welfare staff that would be increased and a potential of 2 to 3 adult protection increase, but that will require increase to the allocation. And so there's some steps that the state still needs to take, but at least at this point, I feel like they're advocating for the counties in a way that's supportive of us to be able to meet the needs of the community.
And when did you think that data would become available?
So they have most of the data, but now it's how do they put it into a funding model that works? And so that's the next step of where they're at to design that funding model. And then they'll need to present that within the legislature to hopefully have that pass. But that's the next piece, is creating the funding model. So we're part of a couple of groups and stakeholder meetings to determine what that needs to look like, because each county, again, looks so different. And there were some counties that could potentially lose FTEs. And so there's just a lot of work and how to make that funding model work in a one-size-fits-all when you don't know it.
So we'll send them job applications?
I would sure hope so. That'd be great. Staffing, we are potentially, we're still down a few technicians, but we are receiving some applications for those positions. We are, as of today, going to be down to child welfare caseworkers. So we recently had one that unfortunately has to leave due to some medical issues. So, so we're back to being down 2, but we've been down 2 for about 3 years almost now. So we're hoping that that's the lowest we go.
Any other staffing issues? Are you-
Nope, OLTC is doing well, and child support, TANF, they're doing well. We have one front desk position. And then we have gathered the job description for the budget manager position. And so Lori and Leona and I are working on that piece to tailor that position to be what meets the needs of the county and community services as a whole. So we don't get to hold on to Leona forever, unfortunately. And the last piece I have is great news. I'm very proud Michelle submitted her RFP for the conflict-free case management. We were able to see the agencies that submitted as well. And so it looks like a lot of agencies, Montrose did their submission. And so we should hear back in May. And thank you to the county attorney's office for lending us Brad for about an hour and a half to go through all those pieces and help us finish up. But it wasn't a lot they had to do because Michelle, it was like 10 different packets of submission and they were all completed and sent. So hopefully we're looking forward to that. If so, taking over that population and serving that community at the local need is, I think, what we're looking forward to.
Very good. Nice work.
I think that's all we have for today.
Good job. Thank you.
I had a couple of quick questions. With May coming up, Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month, what programs, what events have you got scheduled? Do you know yet?
It's gonna look a lot like it did last year, but we are trying to get more providers involved. We do want to still house it here at the county, probably in the bigger parking lot. We have to work out logistics and get approval for that. But that's what we're doing as the big event. And then I think you see on there, we're doing some other smaller event, community events. But other than that, I don't think we really talked about adding additional events.
Then we're doing the Partners Palooza, we're sponsored for that.
That was
Cinco de
cool.
Mayo Festival.
Yep. Oh yeah, Cinco de Mayo Festival will be there.
Do you have a date for your event?
It's tentatively set for May 11th. So we'll keep you posted on that.
There's a planning committee that she has built for that.
Yeah.
Is that when the motorcycle club shows up?
Yes, the Bikers Against Child Abuse. Yeah.
So John and Terry ride your motorcycle. Thank you.
And tell us about the this Partners Palooza.
That's my event.
So I'll tell you about it later. Partners is an organization that we refer youth to, and we're excited for that and the opportunity to be able to sponsor it as well, because I think one of the main things is, one, being a presence for human services about what services we have, what prevention efforts we're doing, and how we can meet the needs of families, but also from the perspective of still trying to recruit foster parents.
And that's what the Partners Palooza is we're pulling in all the nonprofits, as many as we can from the county, in one location with bands, music, activities. That way the community knows about the resources that are available to them. And then the nonprofits can then promote for whatever they need, whether it is foster families, I've met with Open Home, or it's adopting dogs out, we're gonna have some adoptable puppies. So a lot of different organizations. We have some.
Very good.
So wherever the adopting dog section is, don't let her. All right, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate all you're doing here.
Thank you.
That brings us to county attorney time. John.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. So I have one item for the board's consideration this morning, and that's a consideration of the opioid settlement participation forms for Teva, Allergan, Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens, and authorization for the chair to sign those participation forms. The board may remember that the board has already opted into the county's already opted into the MOU with the state of Colorado, with the Attorney General's office, which has participated in the national settlement. And so all this framework is already in place. There was a previous settlement before with three, Janssen Distributor and Johnson & Johnson. Those are already in place. The MOU is already in place. The IGA is already in place. The resolution, the board resolution. This is just now their settlements with five additional both pharmaceutical companies as well as retail outlets and that sort of thing. So, so this is just additional settlements that would just kind of go into the same process. Any questions? I'm happy to answer those.
Do we need to approve all these individually? Can we approve
You
them?
can just reference and
Okay.
and move that the board or
Okay.
the chair can sign those. And I have these for.
All right, then I will move that the board approve the and authorize the chairman to sign the opioid settlement participation forms for Teva, Allergan, Walmart, CVS, and Walgreens. And authorize chairman to sign.
I second that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So done. John, anything else for us?
That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Just sit in there.
So
I'll-
I've marked each one, which page.
Thank you. Jail report. This is the jail report for Sunday, March 19th, 2023. Male inmates, county jail 41, female inmates, county jail 10. Male inmates, Department of Corrections 5, female inmates, Department of Corrections 0, total of 56. Average daily inmate population for the week of March 12 through March 19 was 63.46. That should conclude our regular business for today. We will stand adjourned unless you guys have anything else.
Nope.
Thank you all for being here.